Welcome to Fair Game. I'm Kristine Leahy, and my guest today is a New York Times bestselling author of 8 books. He wrote the book on Brett Favre, Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, the '86 Mets, Walter Payton. So basically, he should have his own section at the bookstore. His latest is a fascinating read called Football for a Buck, The Crazy Rise and Crazier Demise of the USFL. Jeff Pearlman's here. Jeff, so great to have you here.
That was a nice intro. Thank you.
You know, we try to pump up our guests.
I need it. I'm an insecure author. I need
It's a lot of books.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I want to get into the USFL stuff.
Okay.
This is interesting to me. So before we talk about the demise, I want to talk about the rise. Started in 1983, it was a spring football league. How exactly did it become a thing?
Well, there was this guy named David Dixon. He was based out of New Orleans. And for years, he wanted the NFL to come to New Orleans, and it wouldn't. He came up with this idea, we're going to have a spring football league. And he kind of, this was in the 60s. And he kind of dropped the idea when the Saints were given to New Orleans. And then he brought it back. And the whole idea was, we're going to have a spring league. We're going to draft regionally. So we're going to have teams like a team in Philly is going to be getting loaded with players from Penn State and Pitt, like that. And we're not going to go head to head with the NFL. We're just going to compete in the spring, keep it low key. Everything's going to be great. And then, they got all these investors. They had a lot of money in it. And basically, guys got greedy, guys got impatient, and they decided they were going to go head to head with the NFL. But the original idea was a really good idea. It was.
Well, it's natural. If you have a business you wanted to grow, and you do start to maybe get greedy.
Yeah.
But they did start attracting some really big players. You look at the list: Jim Kelly, Steve Young, Herschel Walker, Doug Flutie, Reggie White, Sam Mills. How do you think they were able to get such big players to want to come over to them?
I mean, money. But the first, all right, so Herschel Walker was the first real huge addition. Walker was a junior. He was just coming off the Heisman Trophy winner at Georgia. And he and his people called the USFL because at the time the NFL wasn't taking underclassmen. So he could not go to the NFL. He would have had to stay at Georgia for his senior year. He didn't want to. So he called the USFL. The USFL at first was like, I don't think we should do this. You know, the NFL's not taking underclassmen. We shouldn't. And Herschel Walker basically said, look, I'm done at Georgia. I don't want to do this anymore. So it's either you or maybe I'll go to Canada. And they're like, well, if he's going to come out anyway. So Herschel Walker going to the USFL, it was, Herschel Walker wasn't just your ordinary Heisman Trophy winner. He seriously wasn't. He was an iconic kind of Bo Jackson figure, Jim Thorpe figure. So him going to the USFL was like a holy crap moment for the NFL and like a terrifying moment for the NFL. So it was like a huge deal. And then once he came in, sort of floodgates started open.
And then the first championship game was actually a good game?
It was a great game. Wait, first championship is the best story ever.
Okay, tell me.
Michigan Panthers, Philadelphia Stars. The game is in Denver. Game is awesome. Right, it's a great game, comes down to the last few minutes, Michigan wins. So USFL did a lot of things that were really poor judgment. Miller Beer did a free beer giveaway in the parking lot.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, great, right.
Yeah.
Mile High Stadium, so they're giving out free beer in the altitude. So fans are getting wasted just drinking their free Miller Beer. Fourth quarter comes around, and fans start storming the field with about 2 minutes left. And the Denver police were under strict guidelines before the game. Do not let any fans on the field. Right? You cannot let fans on the field.
Okay.
So fans are pouring onto the field, and they start tearing down the goalposts. And the police are under these strict orders. So they start unleashing dogs and mace, and they're macing fans. And up in the press box, the USFL was feeling great about themselves. They drew 70,000 people to a neutral site stadium. The game was great. This is NFL-esque quality.
People.
And then they're like congratulating themselves, and someone's like, look down at the field, and literally like this great moment for the USFL is destroyed because police are macing, arresting, dogs are biting. There are pictures of dogs ripping the clothes on the Mile High field because the police were under instructions, don't let anyone on the field. And that was the first USFL championship game.
Eventful.
Very eventful.
In the second season, that's when Donald Trump enters the picture.
Yeah.
He became the new owner of the New Jersey Generals, but he didn't want to be the owner of that team?
Well, he wanted an NFL team. Okay. So basically, Trump comes along. Trump buys the Generals after the '83 season, and in the lead up to buying the team, he's telling all the USFL people, this is great. Spring football is great. I love the USFL. Everything about this is great. As soon as he gets the Generals, we need to move to fall. Fall is where the action is, and he actually has a meeting with Pete Rozelle, the NFL commissioner, at the Pierre Hotel in New York City. Trump pays for a suite and tells Rozelle, I want to meet with you. Can we meet? And he tells Rozelle in a private meeting, I don't give a crap about the USFL. I want an NFL franchise. I'll throw this league under the bus. I don't care. What do I have to do to get an NFL team? And I hate to get overly political, but when people say like, Trump, he wouldn't collude. I'm like, let's look at the USFL. He literally was an owner of a team in the USFL, went to the NFL, said, I will destroy this league if you give me a team in your league. His whole goal the whole time was to get an NFL franchise. And he did everything to undermine the USFL throughout that sort of his time.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
So then he also convinced the USFL to file an antitrust lawsuit against the NFL?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
It didn't go well. I mean, so Trump basically he made all these promises, right? It was nonstop promises. And he said, because the USFL was a spring league, right? And he thought if we go head to head with the NFL, ultimately, somehow or another, we will end up in the NFL. And his whole goal was to take the New Jersey Generals and eventually have them in Manhattan Stadium and have an NFL team in New York City, because the Jets had just moved from Queens to New Jersey. So he leads this lawsuit against the NFL. It's an antitrust suit, basically claiming that the NFL was monopolizing television, fall television, thereby not allowing the USFL to move to fall. And they have this lawsuit in New York City. It's a huge deal. It is the lawsuit of '86, like the biggest lawsuit of '86. Trump is one of 3 star witnesses for the USFL. It's Trump, a very drunk Howard Cosell, and Al Davis, who was the owner of the Raiders, but testified for the USFL. Lawsuit's a total disaster. Trump is an embarrassment. Best moment in the history of the world is the jury announces the USFL actually won the lawsuit. They won.
Okay.
But they only won $1 because the jury decided Trump in particular, but the other USFL owners as well, were the main reason for the demise of the league. And like, yeah, the NFL was colluding, but it was USFL's fault.
It's your fault.
Donald Trump is sitting in the courtroom next to John Mara, the owner of the New York Giants. Mara opens up his suit, reaches into his wallet, takes out $1 and hands it to Donald Trump.
Oh my, and what did Trump do?
That I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a boss move.
Yeah, pretty much so.
Do you think that, so Donald Trump has been pretty outspoken against the NFL and also asking all the players to stand and not kneel.
Yeah.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that he never was able to own an NFL team himself?
Yeah, it's the biggest joke ever. It's truly a joke. Okay. Donald Trump, early 80s, tries buying the Baltimore Colts, fails.
Okay.
Has a meeting with Pete Rozelle to get in the NFL, fails. Sues the NFL, fails. Tries buying the Buffalo Bills. Not only does he fail, the guy who gets the Bills holds a press conference, talking about, and Trump live tweets it and mocks him, mocks the new owner of the Bills. Like, for a guy who hates the NFL, he desperately wanted to be in the NFL, like wanted to be a part of that club.
He's just angry he never got in.
He's definitely angry he never got in. There was a club that would not accept him.
All right. When we come back, the insane USFL stories that happened off the field. That's next. Check out our YouTube channel, FairGame, on FS1 to catch all the best highlights of our show. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.